Hey everyone, welcome to Plastic Hearts, episode. I think we're on episode 11, Kevin.
Are we?
Yeah, or 10.
We've reached Mortal Kombat status.
Yeah, who really cares about the episodes? Okay. Did you get to play anything this week in games?
Not since our last episode.
Yeah, me either. So
Yeah.
that's totally fine. But
been,
I know games exist and people are playing them.
Mm.
But some stuff happened. Let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
We got some video game stuff. Since we're just talking about Fortnite, let's actually jump into that because that's fresh in my brain.
We're jumping right into that?
Yeah, it happened. It just happened today.
Yeah, sure. Might as well talk about it.
There's no rhyme or reason to what we're doing.
Fortnite!
So, Fortnite announced another Avengers crossover with Thanos. This time there's heroes involved. So let me pull up the actual breakdown of some details. And this game mode is live, so you can already play it, which is perfect because I guess I didn't really put it together with the Endgame that is opening this weekend. I feel like the last time they did it, it wasn't like release weekend for the last Avengers. It was like around that same time or before.
I think it was before.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a cool...
Remember.
You know what? Before we even talk about it, like I feel the last time they did this, they could totally do just a Fortnite, like a redone Fortnite where it's actual. You just pick a character and just run out there, and it's just everybody, almost like they did like X-Men. Was it Legends they had back in the day, where it's just like you could just jump in as a character and run around, and you're just fighting the whatever baddies. But no,
I'm confused.
just as far as like.
So you pick a character so you could have like multiple
Yeah, I feel like there's
Captain
100.
Americans?
Well, I would say that would suck, right? But at the same time, I feel like there's 100 good, just a positive roster of people where there's 100 good solid characters where if somebody gets Captain America or Iron Man, there's still somebody else that you could get. I feel like there's at least 100, right?
I'm sure there's definitely 100 solid characters. I think that the problem would just be like, how do you handle picking? Like who gets first pick?
Yeah.
Or if someone gets overpowered or something like that. It also brings up so there's this very important thing with player psychology, which is if you give people too many choices, they'll choose none of them. So if you throw somebody into a game that's you versus 99 other people, and you got to pick one of 100 characters right out the gate, and you have no idea what you're doing, you just be like, well, I will pick another game.
Well, we're assuming, okay, you've downloaded the game, you have it.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna like walk away and leave their house. And Okay.
Well, you have to. I think
you have
to unlock it like slowly. Like you look at League of Legends, that starts you off with like 8 characters or something small like that. And that game has like 140 characters total. So,
Gotcha.
but once you develop your own playstyle, you're like, well, 90% of these don't exist in my brain. I just have to deal with them when other people play them.
Okay. You forget until you interact with it.
Yeah, like I don't need to know how to play that. But again, on a game design level and keeping all that balanced in a game like this,
Yeah, good luck
so
with 100 different fucking characters. But what about Smash? Isn't there a million characters there by now?
71 now, 72.
And they balance that. It does take them years to do that, but I don't know.
We also almost drove Sakurai insane on this one because he was actively talking during development. And he's just like, this is a monster.
He keeps like, what is that Lethal Weapon quote? Is I'm getting too old for this shit. It's like that,
which is hilarious because he looks like he's 20.
I roughly remember his face, but
yeah.
Well, it's funny. I think it was GameSpot. They were interviewing. Ed Boon for the last Mortal Kombat, and they're doing like the rapid fire questions, and they were asking him about if he feels, I forget the exact question, but if he feels like sorry for Sakurai, but they're constantly having to put out their Mortal Kombat games, but like, is he sympathetic for Sakurai at all because he gets to work on a game for 5 years, but Mortal Kombat on their end they have to push out like every 3 years, but they're making a fighting game that's still fleshed out and like, I mean, it was a joke,
right.
But it was about Sakurai whining, but you guys have to just like put your head down and keep putting stuff out.
Oh, it's different things. Well, I'm pretty sure they have 2 different teams there.
You're right, because they have the DC one they did, and I imagine they're just flip flopping back and forth.
Yeah.
Which there was a thing about Crunch with them recently in the news, and I have some stuff pulled up because there's just been this whole week has been a lot of talk about Crunch and how shitty it is. But yeah, we'll talk about that. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's a cool mode for Fortnite. I haven't played it yet. It just dropped today. It looks really neat. But yeah, it keeps coming up in my mind where the last time they put this out, I feel like, man, they have the framework to create some kind of cool Marvel property with all these, just because you can pick your your player someone in Fortnite where you can build your loadout. I feel like there's
you can build your loadout.
Well, you can you're not picking weapons, but you're customizing your character the way they look.
Right.
I feel like for that end, yeah, maybe it doesn't transcend with when you have superheroes with different powers.
Right.
But you are picking up weapons on the map, so maybe you're picking up powers on the map. I guess that's what they're doing here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like they have the framework to do something cool like that.
Hmm.
There is that reminds me, that's one of our stories today too, about Square Enix they announced like 2 years ago they're working on Avengers game.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll announce some stuff about it. But
2 years ago? That's not the one for Switch, right?
No, that's okay. The is it Legends or something?
Yeah.
What is that?
I never played those games, even though
no, they look cool, but
a lot of my friends, I actually played a bit of one and I got kind of bored.
Gotcha.
But a lot of people love them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just if you want to like zone out and just like mash a button and drink some Mountain Dew and have a slumber party with your buds. Yeah, chow down on some Doritos. That's the game for it. But that's not to say that's a bad thing. Like especially if I had kids, I'd be like, hey, let's play a fun game.
There's something to that for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump into that. So let's talk about Square Enix. I have the little thing. And I mean, the reason why I thought it was relevant was because we have E3 coming up, next month, June something. So with PlayStation out of the loop of those first 3 days, the big announcements where you have, Bethesda on Sunday, Microsoft on Monday. Traditionally, Sony's been on Monday evening.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes Tuesdays in the past couple years. Anyways, they're out. So Square Enix is taking up their spot at June 10th, 6 p.m. Okay, hilarious, possibly right, but do you think they wouldn't move in there unless they had something big to announce? Or they're just like, fuck it, we got something to announce and people are going to watch?
I think it was just a good spot, honestly. I mean, they really just unloaded most of their bowels. So I don't...
Yeah, that's true. We have, what did they put out recently? Wasn't something
Hearts?
4? Kingdom Hearts, yeah. And what's the number 4 game that came out? Just Cause 4 was also, I feel like, Square Enix.
Just Cause that, you could probably scroll down and see another thing on there. Like, they put out a bunch of, good stuff recently. So what do they have left besides the Final Fantasy VII remake?
Right. So do we see an update? They also have some deal with Sony for but they're not going to be there. So do they kind of announce it or show some update on that during that time? But another thing was they have that Avengers game waiting in the wing. They announced it 2 years ago that they're working on it. There was like a really short trailer. So do they reveal that? I feel like if you're taking up the big E3 spot, you show up with big guns, and that's maybe the only big gun they have yet to reveal.
Yeah.
Right? But otherwise, beyond that, what else are they going to take up people's time? Or at least to demand attention during that spot.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, they'll kind of, I imagine they'll reiterate whatever DLC and stuff they have for. Yeah. Okay, so I forget about it, but they also have Tomb Raider. Now, Tomb Raider just launched or just dropped, was it last year or was it this holiday weekend it came out? It was the third final one they were working on. Not Dark of the Moon, but something's, was that Transformers?
It could actually be that. Yeah. Dark Side of the Spoon. Yeah, there was. Did you
play the Tomb Raider games? The recent one?
No. They look good though.
They were cool.
I heard they were
I did download the third one. It was just kind of like something else came out and I forgot about it. But
yeah.
Jesus, it's like Dark of the something. Holy moly. Anyways, they have that. I highly doubt that they would, since it just released last year, they would have something ready to go with that. Maybe DLC. But it kind of released and didn't do quite what they expected out of it. So, anyways, I do think that's interesting. I'm curious to see what they announce. I don't think I'll necessarily watch it live. I'll just see what they actually put out. I mean, honestly, I'm probably not going to be doing anything at 6 p.m. anyways. I'll probably watch it. But so another little tidbit of news, possibly leaking tomorrow, is this DC game by Rocksteady. So they did all the Batman games. There's been rumors of them doing some kind of game in the DC world again, and everyone's hope has been like Superman, but apparently it might be something else in the Superman DC universe.
Outlaws.
Yeah, so I pulled up this article by comicbook.com, which sounds super generic, but it's a real website. But so It's possibly called Outlaws, and it has to do with DC in some capacity. But yeah, so this one's really just we'll see if it's announced tomorrow. After all, but that's the rumor is it's Rocksteady's next game.
Outlaws. In my head, I'm picturing on that title, and since they're showing in that tweet or whatever, like a background of a city, I'm thinking like all of Batman's little helpers just going around fighting crime, doing something like that. But yeah,
it's kind of generic to where you're not taking the role of a hero or somebody specific necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you're creating your own person within the DC world, whether it's hero or villain.
Yeah.
Or I guess it would be villain, right? If you're outlaw.
What did they even do before Batman games?
Good question.
Because those aren't. They didn't make that like that cell shaded boxing game, did they?
We're gonna find out right now, Kevin.
It's gonna be.
So we got
Batman VR. Games. When you do those sweeping dives down the.
Yep. Did you ever play like the Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum?
I played the first one and partway through the second one, and really enjoyed the first one. I think the first one was like basically a perfect game. Like I think I played through it twice, and I rarely play through games twice.
Gotcha.
And then second one was good, but it.
So it looks like they've just done Batman. Their first release was in 2006, the first-person shooter Urban Chaos Riot Response, and then Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight.
Oh, they made Urban Chaos.
That one seems roughly familiar to me. I feel like I might have rented this game.
I want to say it was like gangs fighting gangs.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not.
I remember not getting very far because it was terrible. But
yeah,
I actually got decent reviews, 70s, 80s.
GamePro hated it.
Yeah.
But they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, so who has the last
Do
one?
They might.
They might.
Who else hated it? Somebody else hated it. Edge.
I know I think Edge is like a European.
Oh, EGM hated it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, 4.67 out of 10. Yikes.
Goodness.
The IGN give it an 8 out of 10, 7.9. I mean.
Well.
But anyways, yeah. So they've really just been heads down working on Batman stuff. So.
Stuff's pretty good. I really like the plot of the third one.
That's where they're introducing some other kind of Batman guy.
Yeah.
Or White Knight or whatever.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you can't say it without spoiling it. It's an unfortunate thing. It's a good twist if you haven't played it, but or watch the cartoon that it was based off of, because you'll see it coming from a mile away, and then they'll lie to you about it not being that twist, and then the twist happens. So you're like, well, fuck you then.
I know you have the car. Yeah, I've played like the first hour. I just never got past that. But I did some of the missions with the Batmobile. Like there's the Riddler, or I think it's the Riddler. He has these like challenge missions and stuff. For some reason, they never fully clicked with me. I don't know if his movement was. It's slow, obviously, but it was slow to the point where it's like I just wanted something else out of it. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But I kept buying them. Like I bought the third one, I bought the second one on sale, and I just never jumped into it.
The one thing I will say I'm excited about that is they're darn talented game creators. Like the amount of mechanics and stuff and the graphical quality, like some of those games were truly stupidly polished.
Yeah.
And I know the last one had a lot of bugs, but it was a huge game.
Yeah. Because the first one, they were stuck in Arkham, and then eventually they did the open world, all of Gotham, and you introduce more problems that way.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure they're going to knock it out of the park with this next one, but we'll see tomorrow if they announce it, and then we'll talk about it on Monday. But there's been some Switch rumors. I wanted to jump into this. Granted,
they said officially they're not bringing anything to E3.
Yes. Okay, I have that too. But I think the key words on their...
But I want to believe!
Right. I think the key words on their release, on their statement was, we have nothing planned for E3. I think that's the thing that I'm holding hope on.
It's happening at PAX. I'm kidding.
Well, they do their Nintendo Direct, so really they have whenever they want, to throw it out there. But so Bloomberg initially did a report on it, on just more rumors on either So the deal was that there was two models they were possibly working on, a beefed up Switch, which sounds weird to me, and then a stripped down Switch, which makes more sense to me.
Still sounds weird.
Yeah, but knowing Nintendo, they do reiterate on stuff and like they do the 2DS, that kind of thing. So that was the deal, and then eventually it's still rumors, just scuttlebutt, but that beefed up Switch was pushed forward. No, so yeah, we're talking about Switch. The rumor was there's a beefed up Switch that they're still working on that's apparently pushed forward as far as down the line. There's still some life left in the rumor for the stripped down one. It was kind of killed when Nintendo finally said, "Hey, we're not going to release anything or make any announcements for E3 2019." Right. I think the key word is 2019 E3 because I feel like they still have the opportunity, the chance to just like throw it out there on Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
I mean, really, with the E3 stage, they don't really show up there anyways. As far as like a dedicated day, they just do their Nintendo Directs, right?
Well, they have the Treehouse, so they're there the whole time.
Oh, gotcha. But they're not like taking over the time spot, just like Bethesda has, like Sony has, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that'll be cool.
I know you wanted to crap on this happening, but I'm holding out hope that it's one of those and another thing, and then they drop this, whatever the hell this is going to be.
I love that they do their and another things oftentimes at the Treehouse event. So I'll be watching the whole damn thing because occasionally they'll just be like, "And here's a new Fire Emblem," and the crowd's like, "Sorry, what? You didn't even announce it. You just brought it okay."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like they could totally do that. Yeah. Wasn't the first footage or official announcement of Smash was one of the Nintendo Directs? It was at the end. It was like, and another thing, and they're showing the squid guys move around.
No, so
because they're like skating, doing their thing, and then in the eye of the girl one, they show the 4, like the flaming 4.
I can't remember. I don't think that was E3. It may have been E3, but it was at that was
Directs, right? That's what I meant.
Yeah, I think that it was. Oh, I remember now. It was a Splatoon focused Nintendo Direct.
Gotcha.
So it's all going to be about Splatoon. But there was, speaking of that though, there was it Smash Brothers that they announced just randomly in the middle of E3, or I think it may have been characters for it. But yeah, there was definitely an E3. I think it was Smash Bros. Brawl.
Oh, okay.
Where like it was either they announced it randomly in the middle, like it wasn't at any showcase, it was just on a screen.
Yeah.
Or it was a character for it. But yeah, they've done some weird stuff with these stay tuned sort of style tactics, and they totally work on me. I'm a sucker for them.
Yeah.
Keeps you going.
What do you think about, just to keep going on these rumors, like what do you think about stripped down Switch? What does that do for
I hope for it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I am always a proponent of those. I think the 2DS was a great idea.
I liked it too. A lot of people kind of ragged on it. Yeah, it was horrible looking, but yeah. I like the idea. It's just like for people who already have a Switch, or for a little brother or something, you throw it in the backpack, and
cheap as shit.
Yep.
You weren't using 3D anyway.
Right. I know we talked about it. You were still like on board with it towards the end, but I think a lot of people just kind of gave up and weren't using it. Yeah.
But I get frustrated with the beefed up systems because they sort of split your marketplace, and I was so pissed off when I couldn't play new 3DS games on my 3DS. I wanted to play whatchamacallit, Xenoblade.
Oh, okay.
Which I pronounced wrong, but still.
Yeah.
Or
when you start your game with an X, I'm out.
Yeah.
You should expect it.
Or I wish Majora's Mask wasn't laggy in certain sections.
Okay, so it still came out on the original, but
and it was good for the most part. It was never in like a boss battle or a fight scene, but sometimes when I was on the big open world, I was like, this could have been optimized slightly better.
Yep. Yeah, you do split your audience when you do that kind of thing. Yeah. Although, while the possibility of the stripped down one, that makes sense. I think we're on board with that. The beefed up one is where I think, why would you do that? It's I'm not expecting like a stripped down version. Anyways, when I go to the Switch, like I'm not looking for power. They kind of weaned us off that when you're looking at Nintendo, and I'm fine with that. They just kind of do unique stuff. So why then try and compete? And then are they competing with the current gen, which is already switching to next gen? Because they're not going to be competing with next gen. So I just don't understand where it fits.
I truly don't know who their competition is.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They're not competing. Yeah, I don't.
They own the show. I mean, yeah.
It's a weird. They've carved out the weirdest niche that no one even knows how to describe that niche. They're like, in a lot of cases, they're more competing with mobile.
Yeah, that's true.
But also sort of PC, because people like come out with these indie games on PC and they're like, put it on the Switch or I'll never buy your game. And
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times I just like seeing it on the marketplace, whether I buy it or not. And sometimes I buy games and on the marketplace on the Switch, and I don't really jump into them. I just like the fact that they're there. Like I just want to keep flooding that area with.
So when are you gonna buy Just Shapes and Beats?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I didn't get that.
Keep forgetting.
It was on sale at some point too.
Was it?
And then just I don't know, a balloon floated by, and I just kind of looked at that for a while and didn't get it. But I will get it.
I gotta bring it over one of these days.
Yeah.
That's still the weird thing is like with a console, they're so not portable. And with this,
Right.
I don't even have to bring the controllers. I could just walk over and
Yep.
deal with it.
That's what's interesting about a stripped down one is that the idea, some of the rumors are that there's no HD rumble, and then the controllers don't pop out. How do you feel about just one dedicated piece of plastic? Maybe it's improved battery life and that kind of thing, but they can strip down some of the extras, bring down the price, and then it's just one, almost like a big Game Boy, basically. You know, like a Game Boy. Was it SP? No, not the flipping one, but that original wide screen, the last wide screen they did. God, I forget.
Game Boy Advance. I think
Yeah,
it
Game Boy
was
Advance,
SP,
Game Boy Advance.
where it
SP
had
was the
flip-
clamshell.
The clamshell,
Yeah.
which is, I've been told from people that actually used that thing that felt so great in your hand.
I didn't get to play that one. I got the DSi or DS Lite, where it was the white one that was super slick. It was, but it was a DS.
But no, not the Game Boy.
Not the Game Boy. No.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think that's sort of the two routes you can go with it too. It's
Right.
like you can be, this is more of a portable now and less of
Yeah.
a console, or you could go, it has no screen.
And it's just a controller?
It's got no screen, the controller's separate. It's basically a console that you could easily bring from house to house or something like that and plug in.
Oh, interesting.
Like you could a Roku or something like that.
Whoa. See,
Which-
just with how weird they are with like how they did the VR thing, I feel like that also is a possibility, just with them going kind of out of left field, like, oh, you're expecting this, bam, we're doing this thing over here. That's pretty neat. But it's still rumors, but we'll see. One thing that keeps that alive is the fact that where do they go with their mobile stuff or with the handheld stuff? Because the Switch is really the in-between, but do they kill the 3DS? I guess if they do a pared down or a stripped down version of Switch, this helps them get back into mobile or have another option there. Because they really, do they just leave it behind or what do they do?
Love to see the Game Boy come back though. That'd be great to.
Yeah.
What a powerful name. Because your mom would call your console the wrong thing all the time. You'd have your Xbox, she'd call it the Nintendo. I got my GameCube, she started calling it the Xbox, which, to be fair, made slightly more sense.
Just getting closer, yeah.
It's the right shape. But Game Boy, like, you never heard that thing called... She never called your Game Boy the Game Gear. Or,
No, any, like, third-party...
That's how your hand...
That reminds me, the Game Boy just celebrated 30 years.
That's all?
Yeah.
This is old, isn't it?
This was April 23rd, so this is just a couple days ago. So 30 years ago.
Oh, Game Boy. Oh, it's a calculator.
Well, yeah, that's
How does
just
that work?
That's a tweet, but
Oh, it's a watch? It's a watch.
yeah. But it's been around for a while. Anyways, we'll see what happens. Either E3 or some kind of special announcement. They just say, "Here you go."
Yeah.
But so we got some Switch rumors.
Switch rumors.
So we were kind of texting about the Epic Store.
I feel like we should save that for last because
yeah,
I'm going to
you
fight you on this one.
Okay. Gotcha. I had some other stuff about that, but.
Oh, did you?
Gotcha. So we got Days Gone.
Days Gone?
Yeah. So just some of the responses for Days Gone, I guess, is what makes it newsworthy. It drops tonight. The embargo lifted, so a lot of publications are talking about it. I mean, the Metacritic, which I pulled up right now, isn't terrible. 72 is like a fair...
That's not bad.
No, that's fair. It was just a lot of the bigger publications were like say, IGN, Polygon, Kotaku, where they were all kind of let down, it seemed, as far as like what they were expecting out of a AAA studio. But I'm still on board.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does kind of like, now I have a weird taste in my mouth where do I want to spend $60 on it? You know, do I wait?
Right.
That's where the kind of debate goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily going to go into detail on all these reviews, but
yeah, it's in a weird place, but I feel like that's about what I expected.
Sure.
Like I was hoping for really good, but yeah, it looks.
It kind of reminded me of Horizon Zero Dawn meets like Last of Us, where they're trying to go for this open world that's super fleshed out and just like high res, and then with this gameplay of The Last of Us where it's more brutal and up close, which was cool. I feel like that was a lot to take on, to try and let you speed through an open world and still have it, you know, like refreshing and loading quickly around you, and with such high resolution. Like that was a pretty daunting task for them to try and do.
But the key was to have your motorcycle constantly running out of gas.
There you go. So you don't get that far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Can't outload your gas tank.
I was gonna look up the developer. I want to say it's Sony Bend. But what's interesting about
Sony Bend, Oregon.
Yeah. What's interesting about them is
that actually Bend, Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was kidding.
Like Santa Monica, Sony Santa Monica is too.
Oh, that's funny. Who'd have thought? Bend, Oregon.
Yep. Which in the game takes place there.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the oldest game they developed?
Bubsy?
From the developers of Bubsy 3D.
Well, which isn't Bubsy tied to what's his face from Gears of War? I feel like he wrote it or something.
What?
I could be thinking of another.
I think you're thinking of
Oh,
Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah.
Because that was what's his name?
Another competing bunny game.
Blazinski.
Did you ever play Bubsy?
No, it's supposed to be terrible.
Okay.
Like legendarily
Well, that's how
terrible.
they came out of the gate, is with Bubsy 3D.
I think I want to say somebody made an art game out of it. They made like Bubsy Goes to the Art Museum as like a parody.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's legendarily bad. Siphon
Gotcha.
Filter.
Yeah, which they did the Siphon Filter franchise, which I never played, but people loved.
Sure.
And then they did a PSP version of Resistance, which I don't know how well received that one was. I did play Uncharted Golden Abyss. That was pretty interesting. That was maybe their last like big release. That's 2011, and then 2019 Days Gone. That's quite a long time.
Uncharted Fight for...
Yeah, it was a card game.
I read that as Fight for the Future.
Gotcha. Yeah, Fight for Fortune was a card game that they put out, which it just wasn't for me. I didn't check it out, but it was on Vita as well.
What?
Yeah. So, and then you flash forward to Days Gone 2019. So I do remember hearing that Days Gone started as something else, or was rebooted, like they had to change development halfway through, so they had some issues with it.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, it was delayed 2 months as well. So I mean, maybe they needed more time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Sony. So they're a first-party Sony studio. I don't know if they keep them around after this. Well, if the game doesn't perform, as far as like it doesn't sell that well compared to the reviews, I think they can handle some like mediocre reviews. But if it doesn't sell,
so this is first.
This is a first
party?
Yeah.
So if you're a first party studio, you're pretty much not getting closed. If you are owned by a console.
Well, they have closed some in the past.
Sure, but for the most part, if you're selling systems, your goal is pretty well met. That's why it's such a big deal with when Microsoft bought all those studios last year, because they're just like, all right, don't worry about money, just make a good game.
Guarantee though, right? Because like if you're not performing, then like why would they keep you around if you're not?
They totally can, but I think this probably did. It'll probably still sell enough systems.
Sure.
Yeah, that does.
It's just that I'm assuming if it doesn't, like if it does perform at least enough to break even, then that's fine. But after 8-7 years of nothing, and then they put out and it doesn't perform, I feel like then at least whoever higher up is going to go, let's talk about it, let's see what's going on with you guys. But yeah.
But we got to keep around the developers of Bubsy 3D. So go out and buy the game. I don't care if you have a PlayStation. Go buy the game.
Yeah. I'm sure you can find it on eBay. But
Bubsy 3D? No, I'm talking about the new game. Buying Bubsy 3D isn't going to help.
You know what? This one does start. It reminds me of GameSpot's trade-in program. This was the game that they're promoting with that program.
Ouch.
So yeah, yeah. Ouch. I think I'm still going to get it this weekend.
That is actively mean.
I mean, that was before the kind of review.
Was it though?
So we did talk about Fortnite. We have this one it's kind of not a lot to unpack, but it's like I'm just not sure how to tackle it. But Respawn, they kind of so they announced that they're not slowing down updates, but they have a plan in order, and they're gonna kind of keep on that plan as far as how often they update the game.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. I certainly heard about this when the game took off. They didn't do what a lot of games do, which is hire more people to work on it.
Gotcha. So kept the same team.
Right, to my understanding. So that's a bizarre choice, because you can as flawed as PlayerUnknown is, Battlegrounds, At least they hired a shit ton of people.
Yeah, they have like a small country working on that game.
Yeah, there's a small country working on that game.
Yeah.
And, you know, the updates legitimately, like, started happening faster, and the game did get better, heavy quotation marks. But, I mean, it did, though. It improved, and it started improving a lot faster than it used to. So, I guess if you want to stay lean and put out more games, you can, you know, do this. But this seems to be a games as a service style thing.
Right.
And it makes more sense to do like the other studios and sort of gear up. That with maybe the exception of, I have no idea how big the studio is that runs Rainbow Six Siege.
I don't know. It's a good question.
But it seems like they've been very steady.
Right.
With that. So they probably don't have a huge studio, but that game's in a real good place.
Yeah, that took
Fight
some
me in
time
the comments. I don't play it.
So yeah, so it is. It's EA, right? No, it's Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft.
And I mean, Wikipedia. I'm not sure if I can find.
It would be so cool to have a new Rainbow Six game.
Yeah.
It has been forever.
It's been a while, and I wonder, you know, this E3 if they have anything ready to announce. So I'm just kind of scanning through, and I'm seeing Rainbow Six Vegas. That would be an awesome bomb to drop to say, hey, we're doing Rainbow Six 3 or Rainbow Six Vegas 3.
That was a good series.
Yeah, I do remember playing it. It was pretty cool.
I was still surprised last time I played it, which was like more recent than it should be. It was still years ago, but like they kept, so in that game, like the posters and stuff were like advertisements like that were updated, and they kept doing that surprisingly late into the game. Like you were still seeing recent advertisements, and it was.
And they were on advertising like real stuff, or just
like movies or like TV shows were like in the posters in the game, which really like.
That's pretty cool.
It was kind of neat, but it was very surprising that they supported it so late.
Well, that's also a way to like keep paying the bills, right? If you can, you know, advertise and like just keep that updated.
Yeah, and it doesn't take you that far. It is sort of weird that they update, like that is kind of weird, but yeah, it's not that immersion breaking.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you're in Vegas where it's all one big ad that you
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, with so I don't know if that cuts into some of their stuff with Division, but Division took these different locales, and it's kind of like this destroyed version of those locales.
Right.
With Rainbow Six, or with the Vegas one, you kind of had that with Vegas. Mm-hmm. Do you let that team do it? I don't know, but I would like to see them jump back in that. Who knows if they have any interest in doing that? Because really, with Siege, it's more of a smaller, focused, thing versus the changing locale around the Vegas of the Vegas one. But yeah.
To a certain degree, it's like Rainbow Six games were like Call of Duty, but more intimate. To a certain degree, like they weren't these big, crazy set piece moments.
Gotcha.
It was much more intimate and just like let's.
It seems like they're still going with that too, with letting the world create whatever cool experience that happens, just like with the sandbox element of where you can enter rooms and the whatever happens. But yeah, they're not like you're saying resting or hoping on these big moments like that.
Yeah, well, there's no single player anymore.
It's just multiplayer.
Yeah, well, they kind of had like a co-op mode.
Okay.
In one of their like, I want to say Halloween updates where it was like monster zombies and it was pretty neat.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
I do remember. I think the first Rainbow Six I played was on 64, and it was very like one hit, one kill kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I could not get past whatever demo or first level, and I was just like, okay, this is not for me at all. But
I wiped all 6 guys in like 5 seconds. That was impressive.
Yeah, I kept dying immediately. But
yeah, they were tough.
Right. But I think they're still leaning on that side, but it's still a bit more arcadey.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of if I could wrap up this story, what was interesting about them announcing that the fact that they're kind of or what to expect as far as their down the line, how often they're going to update.
Yeah.
What was interesting was Polygon did an article on Fortnite and their crunch and how they really have been pushing their team to the limit. Although with Fortnite, they're constantly doing stuff. They're constantly updating and announcing different packs, just like that Avengers one. So they're kind of working their team, pretty hard. Apparently, with this interview that Polygon did with some of the people that work there, so they talked to a dozen different people it's a dozen different interviews conducted by Polygon over a period of several months.
Okay.
So what they came out of it was, so I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but there's 70-hour work weeks, with some reporting 100-hour work weeks, and usually consecutive months of 70-hour work weeks. So that's kind of the reality of, you can step it up, you can keep updating, but then you also lose some of the, I guess, the sanity of the team.
Yeah, but, you can't keep doing that with a game that's very surprising. I really would have thought, with the amount of money they're making,
you think, right,
that you'd expand. Yeah, that's sort of surprising.
Well, I wonder, it'd be cool to pick the brain of someone who's coming in and managing a team, like, because they are managing. Okay, we have this budget and we have these milestones to hit.
Right.
How much can we get out of this team before they go nuts?
Yeah.
Before we spend too much money.
Well, the other weird thing about it, besides the fact that there's probably like an infinite budget on this game, but the other sort of weird thing about it is, like, are the updates really so crazy that you got to be working, like, when you get a new gun, like, the models don't, to me, look so crazy that, you know, you're just blowing through artists trying to hammer out this ice cream cup,
right,
ice cream cake gun, and then, like,
I'm not sure
the code behind it. It doesn't.
There is balancing involved, and you could break something, and there's like readjusting, but how much does that take? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it does very much surprise me that there's that much.
Right.
So
yeah, these two stories were just interesting how they were, you know, right after each other. And really, what was funny is that Polygon did that pretty in-depth interview, you know, with the Fortnite's team, and then talking about the crunch they had to deal with. They also criticized Apex or Respawn with how slow they were releasing their content.
Right.
So it's funny to talk about crunch on one side of it, but then go at Fortnite or Respawn and say, hey, you're not updating enough. Yeah. It's like, well, that's the give and take that happens there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they won some gamers sympathy or clout by saying, hey, we're gonna avoid employee burnout. We're gonna, you know, focus on just keeping steady with the updates, not ramping up.
Well, that's cool. I don't know what's changed in the game since I left.
With Apex?
I know they have a new character, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Neato.
I have so Megan's brother keeps trying to get me to get into it, and I keep every maybe week or two I'll jump into Apex, and I'm just so terrible. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
And words and lights, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna not play this game. But it looks fun. It's just like, I know that there's a learning curve, and I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising with that game because of how quick it kind of forces you. So even if you're slow playing it, you still have to move fairly quickly, which is pretty neat. I like that about it.
Gotcha. Although it seems like as far as movement goes, you're able to just, you know, really run around and nothing's holding you back. Like, I know not every character has this, but there's like a grappling hook thing. So it seems like they're really carrying over the whole Titanfall movement into this one.
Yeah.
But just some crunch stuff. It seems like if you make games, it's not all fun and games. It's just like,
it's not even fun
and
games. It's very, very little fun and games.
Do they even have time to play? I don't know. And experience what they make.
I mean, a lot of people describe crunch as like, I mean, you kiss your family goodbye.
Yeah.
And then you go do crunch, and it's like you're not a person anymore, and and it's just like, that's awful, and that's super common.
Yeah.
So, it's.
I don't know how you. So I want to get more data on this, but eventually I want to have a conversation on with the gaming within the gaming industry and doing God, I forget the word, but it's when you start a union within games. So other industries have done it, right?
There's so much talk on that.
Yeah, so I just don't know enough about it, but I wonder, will this solve the problems or introduce more problems? You know, what happens when you unionize to the point where you can you make sure that these crunches are less extreme and are just, you know, developers are paid fairly, workers are paid fairly, but does that increase the budget? Does that increase the time on these games? Which I'm fine paying a little bit more if it means these people get to go see their family and, you know, crunch less.
I think, it will increase the budget and it will increase the time, but I think the other thing that's very important is it's going to decrease the waste. So when you look at that BioWare thing, where there was 6 years essentially wasted, that's not going to happen anymore.
Gotcha.
Now, that being said, Nintendo does that willy-nilly, and they'll just play around with all these random concepts until they get something that's fun, and then they turn it into, you know, Mario Galaxy, Mario Odyssey,
Sure.
like all these different Marios, or who knows how long they were playing around with that Zelda until they finally.
Yeah, for sure.
So there is benefit to being able to just play around and make prototypes until you can make a game out of it.
But you could still do that, I imagine, within a union where you're paying everyone fairly and giving them accurate time enough to to not work. But
yeah, I think the biggest thing though, honestly, about unionization aside from crunch, I think the bigger thing to me would be mass firings. When you
being
gear
safe
up,
from that kind of thing.
yeah, when you gear up for a game, and they hire a huge staff and then they launch the game and fire everybody.
Gotcha.
And it's like that sucks. You got people moving across the country multiple times with their whole family. Like, it's brutal. Sometimes they've had people move across the country, and when they get there, they get fired.
No.
So you just spend all your money off for a job that you were promised that no longer exists.
Yeah.
Like,
you should for sure have some kind of safety when that kind of thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what I imagine there's pushback within these publishers, these big companies to not have to pay whatever is going to be involved, or have to wait longer on their investment to come back by releasing the game. But I just don't see the huge negative aspects of it. But I just don't know enough about it. I imagine games will take longer. Games will be more expensive. Okay, we'll have to charge more. Okay, that's fine with me. Like, I understand it's an expensive hobby, so I get enough. If I can pay $10 more each release, eventually all of us doing that too. But me personally, I'm paying $10 more each release, and that ensures that people can have a union. I'm fine with that.
I think the other thing too is if the movie industry can do it.
Sure. Yeah. There's always strikes, whatever, with actors guilds and writers and stuff, and they're able to negotiate for fair pay, fair hours worked, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's doable. You're right.
Yeah. Which is interesting because the voice actors are in the union.
Yeah, I know they strike every once in a while, and it becomes a thing. But as they should. I think there was one maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, about royalties, like paying them proper royalties for games sold, as far as like the voice actors.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. That was sort of a weird.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was interesting because then developers came up and say, hey, we actually would like some royalties too. Like, people who actually work on the game would also like to be paid when a game does well. And they might do that within their own team. I just don't know how they break that down.
My concern with that would be, the developers, the publishers are going to be like, all right, you want that? Well, we're lowering your pay.
Gotcha.
So this game better rock.
Right.
Like, you're going to the servers with the tip system right there. And people aren't gonna play that. Like, you see, I was how many times I go through the comments for an indie game and they're like $20.
Right.
Fucking thieves.
Right.
Thieves taking my money. How dare they put food on their table?
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, there's kind of a disconnect.
You're gonna go watch some hentai. Hentai?
For free.
Correct me in the comment section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah, because then eventually you could do all that, but then when it's all said and done, are gamers going to put their wallets behind that and support? They should, but there's maybe they just don't understand the realities of what the developers are doing.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
That was then there was the next one this was today, right? I feel like the conversation was had today about the Epic Store. So I'm going to pull up their little thing.
I'll go get my boxing gloves.
I don't think I'm going to fight you on this. I think we disagree, but I'm also not like head in the sand on this kind of thing either. So if you want to break down kind of...
I have my head in the sand, do I? All right.
No, I said I'm not.
I gotcha.
We can do like a mud wrestling pit or like...
Jello.
Vaseline, I was thinking. Or not Vaseline,
Pudding?
K1 or K9. What's that, lube?
Petroleum jello?
Yes, let's mix lube and mud together. Okay. Well, I have it set up in the back, Kevin, if you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, so let's break this down. So we have the CEO, Tim, was it Sweeney?
Which, by the way, there's nothing written in stone here. He could totally...
This is a tweet, right?
Yeah, you could totally take this back. Like, they could do it. But that's the thing. They won't do it.
Gotcha.
Like, he just... It was definitely one of those, like, hit me, you won't situations. Because he knows they won't.
See, and that's what I wonder is there's some boasting involved. So let's actually break down the tweet. So I pulled up this article from PC Gamer. So we have Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney has begun making some bold claims on Twitter. So if I can pull up the actual tweet.
Which is funny when you look at Tim Sweeney. Because it's like you don't really expect, like, he's not this big, huge personality of a guy. Like, you see him doing, like, tech demos and stuff like that, and he's very, like, he's not big and boisterous. He's kind of just like, hey, check out this cool tech here. Gotcha. And here's another cool thing we did. And then there's another neato thing over there. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. We just changed seasons and day and night cycles, and we did that all in real time with, I don't know, the Lego movie. But he's, he's not this huge, I mean, from what I've seen, he's not this big, kind of guy to be,
he's laying it out and measuring him. With
throwing down, I guess, yeah.
So this is a response to another tweet. So he says, Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic, if Steam committed to a permanent 88% revenue share for all developers and publishers without major strings attached, Epic would hastily organize a retreat from exclusives while honoring our partner commitments and consider putting our own games on Steam.
Yeah.
Which is a fair comment. I just don't know how legit it is. And is it more of a like bolstering or saying like, hey, Steam, it's up to you. It's your chance to react to that. But
yeah, and that's sort of the thing. Like, he knows they won't, because Steam is a money making machine.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get old Gabe going to the board of investors and going, hey guys, Tim called us mean on Twitter. I need to cut all of yours pay.
Yeah.
And it's like they have, they're not going to do it. But, they have good reasons.
Because that's their edge, right, over Steam, is they give more of a share towards developers on that revenue share.
And they've been giving an extra boost if you're timed exclusive.
Gotcha.
Which is
how they land those exclusives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great deal. If I were putting something out for money, I'd do it. I mean, there's no real reason not to, and it's not like I do feel like some of it comes from the fact that they've been publishing on Steam for years. They've been having to work through Steam for years, and they've been frustrated and probably asking for bigger margins. And Valve was probably just like, "No, fuck you.
Right.
You get what you get."
But then, and I think on top of that, or because of that rather, why would they, if Valve tomorrow goes, okay, we'll give the same equal amount of revenue share, why would they then want that to happen? Because that's their edge over Steam. Right. That's what makes them such a big, powerful player in this whole thing, is that they have a dramatically lower revenue share. Yeah. So they have 12% versus Valve's or Steam's 30%, I want to say. Does that sound right to you?
I forget exactly how the split works.
So what's weird about the way Valve breaks it down, one of their updates was the more money the game makes, the less they share in revenue.
Huh?
Which it sounds backwards to me. So Valve typically has taken about 30% of all Steam sales through the platform, with a few exceptions. Now, for game sales between 10 million and 50 million, developers will earn revenue split at 25%. For every sale after 50 million, Steam will only take 20%. So they take less the more money your game makes. But now, what if you're an indie developer? That seems backwards, where they're taking more of your cut versus because you'd be getting less sales. So
it's not necessarily backwards, because no one would agree to increasing it the more you make.
Okay,
that's true. I'd rather shill my stuff on the street than have somebody be like, the more lemonade you sell.
Yeah, that's true. The more successful you are, there's almost no drive to try it somewhere.
Yeah, and so that does sort of reward the big AAA developers. But at the same time, just give. Yeah, but also that's a huge amount. Like, when you gotta get 10 million, and then just for that extra 5%, which, I mean, 5% is nothing small. Like, when I'm dealing with my numbers at work, if I can get an extra 5%, I'm like, fuck yeah, that could be, especially if numbers that big, that's huge.
Right.
But yeah, there's, especially when they are not a physical storefront, there's really not the excuse that
you're gonna get the most eyes on their platform, or it's the most highly used platform, basically. Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. So you say, what's the benefit to them getting Steam to do this? So here's the thing.
Right.
If they release their games then on Steam. So you got to remember, and this is an important thing as a developer, the more places your game is, that's just more places people can spend their money on them. And they'll usually choose the easiest route. So if Steam is the easiest route, then they'll go ahead and do that. That's why when I would put my little games out, I put them out on every single free site I could find, and you hope that one person finds it on one of those sites and shares it with their friends. So even though they're Epic and they don't have to worry too much about that, it'd still be good. They can throw their whole catalog on there. You got Gears of War, you got Unreal Tournament, which bring back Unreal Tournament for the love of God. They've got all these things. But if Steam did lower that percentage, then they're basically making the same amount of money. It's really not that big. For them, it's not that big a loss, but for indies, it's a huge loss. But the reason I think it's, the other thing you gotta remember is their practices really haven't been too evil. Like some people,
Steam or
Epic, like
gotcha.
Some people didn't necessarily like the way they did revenue shares for indie programs, where it was like if you used Unreal, you could either pay for the whole license, which is kind of expensive, or after you reach a certain very high amount of dollars, they take a percentage. And it's not a huge percentage; it's a small percentage, but you got to reach like a lot of money. So I mean, if you got there, you're just like, well, hell yeah, I'm paying my bills anyway.
Gotcha.
So
you get to use the engine itself.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Although I guess that does kind of suck if you're using that engine and you're unreleasing on Epic.
Sure, yeah, it's just like cut after cut after cut.
Yeah. Then you get back to the 30.
Although, is there money they spent as far as on the Epic side? Have they've spent money and time developing their storefront? So, do they? Yeah, you're right, because at the same time, you want to sell your game on multiple platforms wherever it can be sold.
Yeah.
But what does that say about the time they spent developing the actual Epic store and the exclusives they've gained through that? Like, do they abandon that? Do they just keep it going in addition to their support on Steam?
Like
I feel like they've spent time and money just really developing the Epic store to be a competitor with Steam. So
they're not going to go away if Steam drops their percentage.
Gotcha.
They will not do the exclusives.
Okay.
And then they'll put their own games on Steam.
Gotcha.
But I mean, it's one of those yeah. I still think it's cool. I know you feel like Tim's being a little bit more corporate.
Well, he's almost anti-corporate with his claim that if as soon as Steam matches them, they'll stop getting exclusives. But really, if they have whoever on their corporate board, who pulls the strings, they want to have that edge over Steam, I imagine. So they don't want him making these claims that they'll change willy-nilly. I feel like they've created a path to compete with Steam. They want to keep going with that, I imagine.
Yeah. The other thing about it too is you look at, this is how they set up their business. Valve, when they eventually got into this more and more, this is how they're set now. They're set to operate on those margins, right?
Okay.
This is how they're going to operate and pay for all their employees. When Epic set that up, they set up much slimmer.
Gotcha.
So they can operate with those slim margins and keep everything working. For Valve to change to that, it would be huge. It would require changing so much and probably cutting people, or paying them less, which no one's going to agree to.
Gotcha.
It would be truly difficult for them to cut down to that and keep operating as comfortably as they do. So Epic set themselves up comfortably. Valve set themselves up comfortably.
Then is it almost beneficial for Steam to just kind of call their bluff almost? And if they're really set up so slim on the Epic side, and maybe they can't really continue to offer those discounts and to keep it going the way they're doing, I wonder if Steam could just kind of let them do their thing, and eventually they go, well, we can't keep doing this anymore, and they just jump back on Steam. I wonder.
It is entirely possible. I kind of doubt it, just because the amount of money Fortnite makes. Like, they could just ride Fortnite off into the sunset. That is the magic unicorn of the industry right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I feel like that statement. I mean, I think him personally, he does want to see more revenue share with developers for sure. But on the company side, I just see them less resilient or more resilient to share that, because they now have a competitor with Steam, and that was their whole edge, was offering that more of a revenue share or less revenue share, I guess. But and it's all kind of happening quickly. Where how long has the Epic Store actually been around for? I feel like that was late last year.
Has it even been a year?
I feel like less than that, right? So I mean, it's been quickly moving to where they're a competitor now, and Steam has to figure out to adjust or to just let them do their thing.
Which is funny that I even had to think about it, because it was one of those things you really didn't used to have to think about, and now I'm like, oh, what did I? I may have to start using desktop shortcuts again.
Okay.
Just so I can just launch it and not have to think about what I bought it on. Yeah. But
that gives maybe more of hope to other would-be, stores. I mean, there is other established stores. There's like, oh god, what's that game?
There's Uplay.
There's Uplay. There's other not cheap games, but GOG. Is it?
Green Man Gaming might have their own launcher.
Okay.
I think you're thinking of itch.io.
No.
Because they have their own launcher. It's not bad. It's
okay.
really not bad. I think even Game Jolt may have had a launcher at one point, although...
Well, I was thinking it gives them more hope that if they can land these exclusive titles, maybe they can compete with Steam as well. I mean, they already are, but all they need to do is really be competitive with how they adjust their revenue share and just kind of shoot up to the top of the big dogs, whoever those big dogs are.
I think the other thing too about the Epic launcher is that they by hand curate this stuff and don't just let the community you're not gonna get and I've had pointed out to me it sort of has that Disney factor now to it, because if you let your kids watch a Disney movie, they're gonna come out fine.
Gotcha. They're
not gonna find a game with rape in it. They're not gonna find a game with hentai or all these a lot of things that you can pretty well trust.
I love.
It may be violent as shit because it's on the Epic. We're America, we don't care about violence. It's all about the sex.
Yeah.
But it's it's. I wonder how the parental controls are on the Epic Store.
I don't know. I've downloaded Fortnite on Epic Store and that's it. So I don't have much experience. But yeah, if they are curating it versus Steam, that doesn't seem to. It's just kind of a dump of stuff.
Yeah.
I imagine some capacity, they curate, but it's basic level stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are painting themselves as just different experiences, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, the more revenue or the less revenue share, I guess, that developers have to deal with, the better. The more they can really take home at the end of the day. That's awesome. So if Steam does react and offer the same revenue share, that's even better.
You think about that though, 30% is huge.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Of your game sales, that's crazy.
So 15.
And if the majority of your game sales are on that platform, then you're getting a 30% cut. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is cuts elsewhere in the gaming world where Nintendo would charge you for cartridge use or licensing on their cartridges. I know there's been stuff like that throughout gaming history, but but I don't know about to the 30%, to that amount. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know any other thoughts on that one.
It's interesting. But I think the other thing too about Epic is they've been scrappy developers for a significantly longer time than they've been big shit publishers.
Gotcha.
Or a big shit storefront.
Yeah.
And Valve has been probably at this point a big shit storefront for longer than they've been scrappy developers.
Yep.
So
I forgot what it was like. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's true. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah.
I imagine with how quickly the conversation happens, that by next week we'll have more, more news on it. Epic or Steam will decide to say, hey, you know what? Now it's 40%. Fuck you guys.
Now it's 40%. I'll show you guys. Anyone that launched their game on Epic, it's 50%. Also, we're releasing Half-Life 3, but it's just a battle royale. That could actually be really fun if you had a super physics-based battle royale, where just weird shit's flying from physics-based games are so goofy and fun. It usually feels cheap when you die.
Gotcha.
But we'll just get human fall flat, 100 versus 100.
I always see that game. I need to play it. That looks really cool.
It looks frustrating. I think that one would be one we'd have to play together, because I think that one looks more fun together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. There's other physics-based ones there was a Toast game where you're
Oh, I Am Toast?
Yeah. Or there's the Goat one too, but yeah, there's a lot of those.
I didn't find that one that fun. It was kind of neat running around a level and just trying to find all the Easter eggs, which is sort of... It definitely reminded me of Tony Hawk.
Oh, okay.
It was just let's try out a level and see what I can do.
And see, behind whatever walls and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I played it on a tablet, a super stripped down version of it. And yeah, it was fun, but I could tell where it's okay, what else more is there to do? But I guess you can kind of change the level.
Yeah, now you get more levels.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, good on. It's nice to have like a Tony Hawk style game
Yeah.
where you're just exploring the environment, and seeing what kind of dumb you can do.
I was in a big mood for Tony Hawk like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and you can't find them anywhere. Like as far as like to download online, all of them have been removed except for the last one they came out. It was apparently like super horrible. It was was it not Project 8? It was like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 7 or something like that, or 8. But yeah, it was a bummer because I was just in the mood. I think I was listening to the soundtrack on YouTube of like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Such a good soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh no, it was an interview. I was watching a podcast with Tony Hawk, and he was announcing that he's doing this tour, or I think it's maybe one performance. Anyways, they have this cover group from Australia. All they do, this cover group, is they play the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 soundtrack. Yeah, just all covers up. They're like, that's awesome.
Wow.
Sign me up right now.
That is such a weirdly specific.
Yep. But I feel like there's enough demand where they could totally do that because that game's a classic. But yeah, and so they were bringing them over to this tour they were doing. So once I watched it, I was like, I want to play some fucking Tony Hawk, and it's just hard to find.
Yeah.
Unless you just go eBay and go an actual disc route.
They need to.
Yeah.
Some of those games were, man, they were so fun.
They were
Underground was so good. The first Underground.
That was the first time they added a story mode to it, which was it worked. It was really cool to have this, no-name skater and just like develop through the ranks and stuff.
It was really cool.
Yep.
It was also like reading articles about how like hacked together everything was to get him off. Yeah, like they were like, it's the same engine as it always was. And you were never meant to get off that skateboard.
Yeah, it feels that way when you get off. You're just like moving, just janky.
Driving like a car, and then you drive the car, and you're like, well, this is even worse.
Yeah.
I don't take the car out. Yeah, it was pretty goofy.
Yeah.
I still remember, wasn't it the Underground 2 that had to be like George Washington on a Segway?
I don't remember. I know they got super weird with it because they started bringing in like the Jackass guys for that one, and there was a lot of like weird events that you could do during the game. Yeah, I never got to play it, but
yeah,
I wouldn't doubt, as you described that, I wouldn't doubt that.
I was always impressed by the DS versions of those games.
Really?
Like they were surprisingly like full featured.
Okay.
Badass, could still make your own levels. Like
whoa.
Like it was crazy cool how much they packed in those little things.
Dang. That's cool. It'd also be fun to do like a Let's Play thing of some Tony Hawk.
Oh my god. I don't think I'll be able to ollie anymore.
That's really it, Gavin.
I think that's it. You did mention Mortal Kombat very briefly, but
so yeah, it came out, and the reviews are super positive.
Yep.
I think,
except for the weird grindy bits.
Yeah, apparently because you can pay for certain things, but I'm not sure how that affects your grind.
I think that was the problem, is that you can't pay for those things.
Oh, gotcha.
But it still has the grind.
Gotcha.
So you're like, well, I honestly at this point I would pay for it.
That's as far as like the crypt part of it, right?
Yeah, which they already said they're gonna patch it.
Okay, that's cool.
Like, yeah, it's a problem. Sorry, fix it. We'll fix it. I did watch the entirety of the story on YouTube.
I think I was flashing through some uploads of that, and there's like 4-hour chunks. Like, how long is that compiled as a movie?
Well, so here's the thing. So I thought I think when I looked at the thing, it was like a 3-hour, 40-minute or something clip. But so here's the thing. Not all of that. I think the last hour of that is when you go through. There's a secondary mode, which is just like classic tournament.
Oh, okay.
And when you get to the end, each character has their own story. Because there's this object in the game, and it's almost like the Dragon Balls, where you get to kind of recreate the future or change things.
Oh, okay.
So, like, each character has, like, they're bringing a character back to life, or they're doing these changes. And I only really watched Sub-Zero's, which was kind of neat. So that's kind of cool that you do get that. And there's a lot of characters, so that's a lot of cool story animatics.
And that's what adds to the amount, because there's just all the different storylines through each character at the end.
But I think the story, just the base story, with just the cutscenes and like a little bit like the start and stop of each of the fights, because they do little things, was like almost 3 hours.
Dang.
And it was good.
Really?
It was good. They wrapped up the storyline. All 11 games.
It surprises me that there's a storyline in the first place. Yeah. It's just like so crazy out of control, but I guess there is one.
Well,
explain it to me.
Well, part of the problem is because they keep time traveling. And that keeps messing things up.
Yep.
And it kind of came to a head in this one of Raiden, you fucked everything up because you kept traveling through time.
Gotcha.
And so they came up with a more powerful time traveler that's like, all right, I'm done with your shit.
I've seen those characters. Yeah, there's like Chronica maybe.
Yeah, Chronica.
The head bald chick. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's another dude, beefier dude, who also has the time abilities. And
he doesn't actually have time travel.
Oh, as far as like he can reverse like his own. I don't want to match. He can like go back to a previous state kind of thing.
Every time he dies, he comes back strong.
So that's what it's okay.
Which is who the hell Marvel character is that? But
no, that's Doomsday, right? When that's why Superman can never defeat him because he just like comes back to life and isn't then immune to that thing that you just did.
It's probably not. I'll be honest. It is probably Doomsday. It's probably also like there's probably multiple characters where that's their shit.
Sure like reused thing. Yeah.
Some Tigger and Winnie the Pooh.
Which yeah, get Winnie the Pooh in Mortal Kombat 11. When they're trying to get Shaggy in there, but obviously that's a ridiculous idea.
Did you ever see the mod to get Shaggy into Dragon Ball Z Fighters?
No.
Oh man!
Like they actually put him in there.
They put him the fuck in. He looked great. It was
wow.
It was pretty funny.
With sound effects and stuff too.
I think they just put his ball over a character, but it was solid modding with a game. Oh, that's something else worth mentioning real quick. Overwatch now has scripting, so you can make custom modes.
Whoa.
Which I never saw that coming.
What does that mean exactly? Like you're making games types or something?
You can make game types, which was one of the biggest, huge advantages that Team Fortress 2 has always had over Overwatch. Now I do worry it's a little bit too late because I don't know anyone that plays Overwatch anymore.
I imagine it has a huge following, but
yeah, it still has a huge following. But that's such a big deal because in later years they've really gotten a chokehold over their content, and if they're starting to reverse that, you see that a little bit with some of the custom modes in Dota, which they now have this weird like real-time chess mode that's blowing up. Like on Twitch, it's like that mode alone is trending. And you'll see it in the top 100 nightly.
And you're playing chess through Dota, or your moves are confined to like chessboard moves or something? Or
I'll be honest, looking at it, I have no idea how it works. If you were to look at it right now, you'd have no idea how it works. I have no clue what's going on.
I'll just start bleeding out of my nose.
Yeah. So they there's that with Dota. I think if you combine and with Dota you had like the market where artists who are big fans of the game, they can make their own armor pieces and actually sell them and get money.
Well, okay.
Which is super cool. Which I mean, Steam kind of. Oh, it's the same company.
Yeah, is it?
I'm talking up Dota like Blizzard owns it when they sure as shit don't.
Gotcha.
So I'm just yeah.
Well, you're dumb.
But yeah, Blizzard. I mean, Blizzard used to be huge with that. The fact that the Warcraft editor was so big that people invented Dota in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was just like a really crazy, not sort of mod, but it was just made in the level editor. They sort of brought the level editor back to StarCraft. I don't know how crazy you can get with it. But yeah, it'd be nice to see them kind of come back to let loose the control a little bit and let the fans go nuts and see what craziness they can do with this cool tool set of a game.
Really, you're right. And if you're saying that like they're kind of at a standstill or not sure how to proceed with updates with extra content, just let the community create the content, and there you go. So I pull up the article just explaining what you're talking about. So yeah, so a simplified game scripting system that allow players to create their own custom games. So that's pretty cool. Now, what's the limitations on that? So is it still like shooting based games, or like they can even expand and just do like just changes on that, like capture the flag, just like how you would then bridge off of that, or like completely do whatever they want to do in the game?
I have no idea.
Gotcha.
But still cool. I mean, they made the floor is lava style game mode for it, and that was made by Blizzard to kind of show people just kind of what you can do.
Oh, I see.
But I hope that we can get racing. Do a floor is lava Lucio where you have to wall ride around the entire racetrack. Or you could do all sorts of things. It'd be nice to see more. Yeah, just really come up with these cool creative modes, and that's where you get. You look at Griffball in Halo. Sure. That was because of those custom stuffs.
Yep.
You can get some truly great stuff out of these custom modes, and I think it carries that much more validity when the fans make it,
right,
instead of the developers themselves. So
that's true. That's a no-brainer. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And really, can they keep introducing more characters? Because there's already what 20, 30 like characters on Overwatch.
Yeah, there's a lot, and they're slowing down on
That's
introducing them, which you have to.
Yeah.
And you look at how slow now League of Legends is on putting out characters. It used to be they'd put, God, it was every 2 months or so they'd have a new character. Now it's like we maybe get 4 per year.
Gotcha. Which with Mortal Kombat, I feel like they can keep wrapping that up or ranking that up. Like I love when they drop a new character. It's just even more nuts than the last one. Yeah.
I liked it. Wasn't it the last one, or maybe it was the one before that? I think it was the last Mortal Kombat though, where they kept introducing horror characters.
Oh
like
yeah.
Jason, the Xenomorph from Aliens.
Xenomorph was nuts. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Predator was there too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Dude.
There's like a pack you can get with all of them.
And those are perfect. And I'd love to see what kind of new characters they could even go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, can they bring back? It'd be nice to see them bring back. Remember when Kratos?
I was just thinking. Yep, I was gonna say that.
He was perfect.
Yeah. And do like the older, newer Kratos where he has the beard from the last release.
Yes.
Maybe his son comes out and shoots an arrow or whatever.
I appreciate that they didn't console lock Kratos. He was on the Xbox.
I assumed he was he not?
No.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of.
I think
Soul Calibur had like exclusive ones, like Link was on the GameCube.
that was Soul Calibur for sure. Maybe I am wrong. It's entirely possible I'm wrong. But that would be. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say you're wrong, so I don't have to Google it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I'd love to see him back. I don't know what other properties would fit that they haven't done. I mean, I imagine there's some awesome ones. Doom Guy would be legit. I heard, or I had seen like a mashup on Twitter, like an image where they had the Terminator in the background too, as like a what if character.
But he moves so slow.
Yeah. Is there any other? I wonder if they could base it off another slow-moving character, but it'd still be like maybe projectiles or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe Jason's kind of a slow guy.
Yeah, Jason moved pretty slow.
Or if you're the liquid one, where you could just move around that way.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Right.
I'm just happy they brought back my boy Noob.
Oh, Noob Saibot, yeah.
Yeah, he just looks cool. No matter what he's doing, even if he's kind of cheap, he looks cool doing it. So.
Well, there's that one Sub-Zero-esque
Frost?
ninja. Yeah, Frost. But she's like, she has the time ability too or something? She's like a clone.
No, she's just on that side. I will, in the story, dude, I like her. She's fucking nuts.
Okay.
And it's just like, they're like, oh shit, she showed up. We gotta deal with this now.
Nice.
Yeah, she looks pretty cool. I like her. Her armor is kind of neat because it's a little bit different than like the Sub-Zero armor.
Yeah, from what I've seen, yeah, it looks like more, I don't know, Android-ish or something, where it's like, yeah, weird material, but.
Yeah, and I don't know. There may be a reason for that I can't say without spoiling things. So they're. I think I know the reason, but if not, and that's just the choice they made for her, that's still cool. Either way.
Gotcha. Yeah, that just makes me more excited to maybe this weekend I go Mortal Kombat instead of Days Gone. I don't know. Yeah. Even though I'm terrible at fighting games, but yeah, the story keeps me going. The fatalities, just the gameplay itself. Yeah. I'm kind of in the mood for it.
Huh?
Yep.
Do you know enough of the story for the Mortal Kombat games to be able to get it?
I just don't. I don't care. I'm not coming at it with.
But it matters, though.
I don't think it does. It's just so nuts. Where I'm just like, I'm on board. It's like, oh, this guy, this person. Okay, cool. I just kind of along the way, I imagine I'll pick it up or.
Gotcha.
Or, I just like just the nuts fatalities,
Fair enough.
But yeah. Speaking of nuts fatalities, there was one. And I'll get off this topic, but it was Sonya.
This video I saw this guy with his testicles out.
Yeah, it was basically that. I think it was Sonya Blade. She shoots a dude, kind of creates this line, and then kicks him so hard in the nuts that his spine comes out of his body, like his spine and skull pop out, and that's where they end the fatality. Like it's amazing, amazing. I wish you could give them an award just for these fatalities because they're so nuts.
Like, that would be the brutalist death award goes to.
And as far as like taste wise, their fatalities and the whole thing fits within their realm because they're super over the top, but they're that way intentionally, so it's not like just like weird to watch it. It's obviously it's like pretend and it's out of it's totally gonzo. So they've hit this vein where it's like they know exactly where to.
I think they hit a few veins and a couple of arteries too.
Yeah,
it's I agree.
I love it. There you go.
Nice.
Let's end it there. Gavin, Game Dev Extraordinaire, where can they find you?
You can find me at Twitter on Twitter at DrunkDeps.
And I'm on Fonzie Pants. I'm also on Twitter, Fonzie Pants. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's end it.
Twitter is hard.
Yes, life is hard.